Look in the mirror. Do you see yourself there?
Between you and me, we catch 14 bonefish. Come on!
Smile. Do you see your mom? Look at your mom.
So Blake. Yeah. We got some big fish that we gotta go try to catch.
You're gonna do so good! Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report, which starts now!
Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report, presented by Yamaha.
Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report, Kids Edition. We are jam-packed with the future of fishing right here in our studio, along with special guests from IGFA, CCA, Guy Harvey, Fish Bites, and so many more. But Rick, lucky us, we get some extra help from our mini co-hosts, Blake and Mia.
How about that, Brie?
Thanks, guys.
This show's gotten so big that we had to bring in some help.
I know, we've got to wrangle all these kids in here. But Blake and Mia, why don't we say hi to Dave at the CCA workbench really quick, who has some guests over there as well. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Brie and everybody. We've got two of our most famous and illustrious, legendary captains. My favorite of all, because they come here. Mike Hollywood and Ron Houston.
Loving life.
Yes, they are.
I got to tell you, brings back a lot of great memories seeing all these kids out here, but I'll tell you what, the most important part is there's a bunch of special parents out here who have the desire to take their kids fishing. So parents, good job.
Thanks, Ronnie. We're going to just give ourselves pats on the back here.
How about that?
All right, well, we're starting this kids' party in the Discover Crystal River Northwest region with Captain Jeff Hageman. Show us those smiles, Hag.
One of my most favorite things to do is take a kid fishing. Some of my most rewarding charters have been with kids. The look on their face when he or she catches their first fish or the biggest fish is absolutely priceless, and there's no greater reward. Some of my most memorable moments growing up is fishing with my dad, and with the hundreds of parks and piers and miles of accessible shorelines, lakes, rivers in my region, there's no excuse to get a kid out there on a day on the water fishing. If you're not a fisherman, you parents out there, if you're not a fisherman, there's a lot of things you can do. You can go talk to local bait shops. They'll help you get geared up, local seminars, clubs, and or you can just hire a guide for the day and get your kids out there fishing. There's nothing more important, and they can start as young as possible and get them out there enjoying the outdoors. Moving on in offshore, Captain Rob Davenport of Big Nasty Charters out of St. Pete reports on red snapper right now. Your bigger red snapper can be found right now in 130 to 200 feet of water. Look for them a little higher in the water column. A knocker rig with 60 to 80 pound fluorocarbon leader and a 6 to 8 ounce circle hook. And 6 to 8 ounces of lead with dead bait is the bait of choice. And he's also had some pretty good luck with using butterfly jigs on them too. And I've got a picture of Dawson with a beautiful red snapper caught on the Big Nasty.
Nice. All right, what else you got for us? Tell us about the inshore, bub.
Inshore, starting out to you, Captain Bobby Brady. Reports a great redfish bite right now. The water's warming up and the fish have moved into large schools and they're coming in with a bluefish. And there's a lot of redfish mixed in them right now. 2.5 to 3 feet of water. Gold spoons have been the ticket for Captain Bobby. His go-to bait, 1/2 ounce, 3/4 ounce, has been working really well. Moving down the coast a little bit, Captain Mario Costello of Tall Tales Charters out of Ozella Keys Marina reports big schools of redfish back in the backcountry, Ozella to Crystal River. The schools have been anywhere from a dozen fish to 50 fish in each schools. They're working the open pockets of the mangroves on the first half of the incoming tide, and he's using live select shrimp on an 1/8 ounce jig head with 15 pound fluorocarbon leader because the water has been really, really clear and they've been a little leader shy. The fish right now are ranging anywhere from 25 to 30 inches, and I got a picture here of Sheila West with a top slot redfish caught on a recent trip with Mario.
Nice. Tell us about Jim. How's he doing this week?
He's doing good. Snook fishing's been really good. Big Daddy Sport Fishing out of St. Pete reports a good snook bite right now. Most of the fish right now are moving to the passes on this moon and looking to spawn. So you want to get out in the passes, around the beaches, Anywhere it's got good current flow, free line, or a lightly weighted pinfish or sardine has been his bait of choice. And I got a nice photo here of Captain Jim with a nice smoky flat reef.
Thank you so much for starting us off this week. I wish you were here, but maybe next time. Thank you so much, Hag. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Ozella Key Marina hotspots from the Northwest region. He says that inshore, the snook along the beaches and the passes drift the pinfish on the outgoing tide for those snooks. And then offshore, mangrove snappas on the near shore and offshore ledges and rock piles use sardines and shrimp on a knocker rig, Brie.
Bringing home the schnappas. That's what
That's
we
it.
say here. All right. Well, our front runner boats Northeast region Captain Tommy Derringer knows a thing or three about getting kiddos on the water and keeping them there. Hi, Tommy.
Only three? Seems like more than that for some
Doesn't
reason.
it?
That's right. I love getting kids out, man. I love having my girls on the boat. There's really nothing better, like Hag was saying, than having kids out there watching them catch a fish. I'm always excited when the kiddos are on the boat. And we've got all kinds of different fishing opportunities for kids here in the front runner boats Northeast region. You really don't even need a boat to get the kids on some fish. Of course, the beach, it's a great place to take the kids fishing and just in general, because if the fish aren't biting, you can break for a swim or a sandcastle building, anything like that. And, we have the St. Augustine, Jacksonville, and Flagler Beach piers. Those are all really kid-friendly fishing spots. Then there's quite a few public parks that are on the water as well, both in the salt and the fresh water. And, I talk about this every year. Another great way to get the kids involved in fishing is to join one of the fishing clubs that we have here in the region. We've got in St. Augustine, the Ancient City Game Fish Association. We got the Flagler Sport Fishing Club, and then the Jacksonville Offshore Sport Fishing Club. That's just a few of them. All those clubs are heavily involved with the kids in fishing. They've got clinics, they've got fishing tournaments, they've even got summer camps going, and that's all for the kids, man. It's a good time. Definitely look into that if your kid is trying to get into fishing. Now, my favorite fish, the redfish, that's a great way to get the kids started on fishing, and you can catch them from just about anywhere there's some salt water. During these summer months, the redfish, they're an easy target. You can just rig up a jig and a live or even a dead shrimp and catch them in just about any of the creeks throughout our region. And if you're looking to bend a rod, right now it's a great time. There's a lot of redfish out there. Get out there with your kids. You'll catch some of those redfish. And speaking of kids catching redfish, I've got a picture here. This is my man Spence Berg with a big old redfish that he sight fished with me on a recent trip in St. Augustine. Spence is the man, and that's an awesome fish there.
Saw it with those glasses. I like them.
All right.
That's right. Another great fish for kids, man. Trout. Talking about the trout, the lack of rain in my region, I know you guys have had a ton, but we haven't had much rain, makes the water very salty. So it's real salty up here right now, especially around the inlets on that incoming tide when the ocean water is coming in. The trout like that situation, and the bite has been pretty good. The docks and rocks or any other kind of structure around those inlets, those have been holding good numbers of trout, both the speckled and the yellowmouth. And the creeks near the inlets have also been holding the trout. Now, I've been targeting the down-current side of just about any oyster bar, use a free-lined or just float a live shrimp, and then also a saltwater assassin paddle tail on a quarter-ounce jig head has also been working really well for those trout. Now, moving offshore, guys, the kingfish bite continues to be pretty solid throughout the region. Now, the ocean has been a little bumpy, to say the least, this week with a bunch of onshore winds. But if you brave the chop, and hopefully things will calm down by this weekend, the kings are on the beach and on the nearshore wrecks and reefs. Bait, specifically the pogies, they're still tough to come by. Hopefully they show up a little better after this wind we have going on. But you might want to grab some live baits inshore or pick up some ribbon fish or some other dead baits from one of our local tackle shops before you get out there. And I've got another picture here. Captain Rob Bennett, who's always on a good kingfish bite, it seems, sent me this picture of Walker along with his dad with their kingfish. That was Walker's biggest fish ever. So congratulations, Walker. That is awesome.
That's good job,
Good
Walker.
job.
What else you got for us offshore, Tommy?
The snapper, the mangrove snapper,
Yay.
man. What a great fish for the kids. The mangoes have been chewing offshore this month, and it continues to be the go-to species for a lot of our offshore captains. I spoke to Captain Drew Castle. He tells me he's been on a great mango bite in that 120 to 160 foot depth. Captain Drew said he's been fishing the mangoes just like the South Florida guys do the yellowtails, just by chumming them up, then drifting small chunks of cut bait back. He's using some lighter leader 25 to 40 pound fluorocarbon, depending on how shy the fish are being. The water has been pretty clear. The average size of those offshore mangoes has been 8 to 12 pounds. And I've got one last picture here. Captain Drew Castle, he sent me this picture of himself along with his daughter Avery with an awesome mangrove snapper.
Yeah, it is an awesome. It's almost as big as she is, man. Thank you so much for all the pictures, Tommy. We're gonna go ahead and take a look at the strike zone northeast hotspots from Tommy's region. Tommy says inshore, the redfish on topwater plugs during the early morning higher water, and then switch to live minnows or shrimp and fish the creek holes on the lower stages of the tide. And then offshore, the kingfish on the beach and the mangrove snappers on the reefs and wrecks in 120 feet of water or even deeper.
All right, well, we're seeing how the kids are reeling in the Fish Bites East region. But first, Dave is setting up camp for the Fish Bites Trading Post Rigs and Techniques at the CCA Workbench. Dave.
Yep, we're going to show you guys how to take these kids out on a dock or a pier or something and make sure that they actually catch something and don't come home disappointed.
And having lots of fun. All right, well, let's check in with our co-host. What's going on over there at the Outso Equipment Garage, guys?
Where are you taking me? To the commercial break!
Right.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Fenwick. Feel everything. Sirius XM Marine. Weather. Fish mapping. Entertainment. Penn. Let the battle begin. Casa Vieja Lodge. 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala. Berkeley Prospect Chrome. Fish Bites Trading Post, the first choice of First Coast anglers. Castaway Coffee, one taste and you'll be hooked. And Daiquiri Deck, food, drinks, friends.
Well, Dave, we're here at the CCA Workbench, and it's time for the Fish Bites Trading Post Rigs and Techniques.
Yes, sir.
One of my favorites of all times is the Kid Show because this is where it all began for us, Dave.
That's correct. That's correct. I'm standing on the dock on the same house I live in today, you know. Caught my first fish in the backyard where I live today. So.
You're going to make me tear.
I know.
Let's just keep moving.
I know. Well, we're talking about, taking out the little kids and making sure they catch something. And, it's always good if you can find a nice dock somewhere on a lake for the first time, or if you live on a canal or something, a place where you know that there's something down there to begin with. So you don't have to go searching. And you can do a little chumming with some bread, get the fish, fired up, and then get you some earthworms like he's got here, or some fish bites, especially if you're using that bread. A white fish bites really works. You can put this on a tiny hook or a smaller hook. These are size 1 and 2 Aberdeen Eagle Claw hooks. I like to use a gold hook if possible when I'm fishing for little panfish and whatnot. And what this Fish Bites does is once it's on there, it doesn't come off. You can catch 1, 2, 3, 10, little bluegills or even little mangrove snappers or stuff like that, and just catch them one after the other. And if you want to use a worm or something, hold on before you put that down. One good thing to remember is these Aberdeen hooks are really good to use no matter what size. I even go smaller than that. I'll go to a number 12 or something.
I see a little tiny.
That's a number 12. That's a number 12 Carlisle hook. And what these long shafts and little tiny bends do for you is those little fish can't swallow that whole thing down. So you can grab a hold of that long shaft and get the hook back out easy without hurting the fish or whatever. And I use that a lot when I'm catching bait to fish in the Everglades. I use these little 12s with a piece of earthworm. Now,
Dave, my favorite
is
to thread this onto this worm.
Right.
Quit moving, you little son of a...
It's not going to be easy.
No. But I remember as a kid doing this with my dad and fishing out of a canoe and then throwing this in. This is a giant worm. Most of the time the worms weren't this big.
Yeah.
But that's
why I cut them into sections like this big.
That?
Yeah, that's why I cut them into sections this big, because what happens is, even on this little tiny Carlisle hook that I have here, once you put that hook on there and it comes back out, after the first fish, this thing keeps getting whittled down more and more and more.
It's still moving even though you
that's
decapitated
why. Yeah, that's why it's not a big deal. And what happens is this thing becomes pretty much like a leather sleeve after all the fish have eaten it 3 or 4 times or 10 times even, and you can slide this up and down because it'll slide all the way up your line. It'll go over the knot and whatnot when you're catching these little fish. And
Dave, when you were a little kid, did you eat any worms?
no.
Would you like
No,
to try?
no, thank you.
Come on, Dave.
No,
You
thank
disappointed me.
And another good thing to do is use a bobber. The kids can focus on a bobber. It's not even so much, and not only that, it keeps them from winding everything up into the rod tip and whatnot. They can watch the bobber and see what happens because it's it's an automatic thing. If they see the bobber moving, oh, they know they got a fish. You don't have to worry about it. And that's disgusting. But
I'm gonna need some Castaway coffee.
I imagine you will, yeah. But
Holy cow! It tastes like.
yeah.
It's usually cool, but when I bit down, it turned to crap, man.
Yeah, that's what's in them. That's what they're full of.
Oh.
So, anyway.
That was in my mouth.
I know.
Oh,
it's
my
dirt.
God.
So, and you don't know what kind of dirt they're using. That could be bat guano or something. Who knows? But anyway, this is a good little combo to get for a kid because it's almost indestructible. It's got stainless steel eyes, which actually I prefer. I wish all my rods came with stainless steel eyes where the inserts don't come out ever. And this is a Penn Pursuit 2500 combo. It's got really good drag washers in it, and it's made out of graphite, so it's really light. And the kids can control it really well. Holds a ton of line, 175 yards of 8-pound test, which is what you want to use. You want to use a line that can break easy. You don't want to use a braided line when you're fishing with the kids.
No.
Because braid can hurt you and can cut you and whatnot.
Yeah.
So you want to use like an 8-pound test monofilament or something. It doesn't bury a hook in really deep, which is very important. And when the kids are real little, you might not want to use a rod like this. You could use a cheaper rod, kind of like the ones that we're going to be giving them away tonight, because they pretty much turn into a sword before they become a fishing instrument.
Do I have anything in my teeth?
Yeah.
I have black stuff in my teeth, really?
Yeah, a ton of it. Yeah. I'm gonna lie.
Alex, Alex is our steady camera. Do I have anything in my teeth? I'm good. Brie, am I okay?
I've seen Dave not be able to focus over there, but
Yeah.
water and a mint is on the way. 'Cause
Miss
I'm not standing
Murphy,
next
I'm
to
gonna
you.
need a kiss.
No. All right, when it comes to the kiddos, our
Nasty.
captain in the Fish Bites East region, who's in the studio gracing us with his presence and Bahio tattoos, keeps the fishing fun and action-packed, don't you, Holiday?
We do. And anytime you're dealing with kids, you want to remember we live in a state that's surrounded by water.
Right.
So, it's super important to take kids fishing, introduce them to the outdoors so they're comfortable around water at all times, whether that's swimming or fishing. You can make it easy as going surf fishing for whiting and croaker out on the beach to catching bait on sabiki rigs or fishing small pilchards for mangrove snapper. Just make it fun. What I like to do with my kids when they were young was fish for a couple hours and go swimming. Go to the sandbar, eat the snacks they're not allowed to have, pub subs, chips, sodas, just so they have a really good time and equate being on the water to a really good time. If you don't know where to start, try joining a fishing club or a summer camp that caters to fishing. You can pick any lake or pond in the neighborhood and toss shiners for bass or bread balls or fish bites for bluegills and catfish. Just make it fun and casual. Make sure you let them handle the bait and the fish so they get kind of used to that. And as their skill levels go up, you can start chasing larger, stronger fish. I got a photo. Here's a really good example. That's Jeff Atwall and his grandson Henry, J. Henry Molino, with a nice snook they caught together. They caught that fish on a live shrimp. Now the other thing we got going, the summer tarpon bite's on fire right now in my region. Fish are pushing up the beaches all day, gathering around all the inlets in the region at night. Some of those fish are moving inshore and becoming resident fish in places like the Loxahatchee River, the St. Lucie Locks, Club Med, Big and Little Mud Creeks, and the Moorings Channel and Vero Beach. Now the fish on the beach are migrating north in everything from strings of 10 to 20 fish to schools of 80 fish or more. They'll eat everything from a black and purple fly to a live crab to a threadfin or a mullet. Around the inlets, you can drift a live mullet out with a tide early or late in the day. Up in the rivers, mullet, either live or dead, are going to be the top baits. Average tarpon in the region is going to be like 40 to 100 pounds. And I got a photo there that Captain Chris Britton of Port St. Lucie sent me. This shot of a nice tarpon one of its kids' clients caught They caught that at the House of Refuge, and that fish ate a live crab.
All right, let's roll into the offshore there, bub.
Yeah, you know, the last 5 or 6 years, we've really seen some great sailfish action from around Father's Day to the end of July. This year, the early season bite has been really strong throughout the region. The bite's been all over the place, from 220 feet of water off the power plant to 70 feet of water off Hope Sound to some of the artificial reefs and 90 feet of water off of Palm Beach County. And wherever the bait is, that seems to be where the sails are congregating. You can troll ballyhoo with a blue and white or a pink skirt just to cover a lot of water. But the boats that are catching big numbers are live baiting with thread fins, pilchards, or goggle eyes. They're either slow trolling them or fishing them off of kites. Most of the sails are big, average fish 40 to 50 pounds. And I got a photo that Captain Eric Davis of Vero Beach sent me. That's a shot of one of his clients with a sailfish they caught and released off Fort Pierce. They caught that in 125 feet of water, and that fish ate a live threadfin. The other offshore species, with this easterly winds we've had all week, the dolphin bites picked up this week. A new wave of fish are pushing through from over onto the western side of the Gulf Stream. So there's also been some larger fish in the mix, which is good to see. I've heard of fish caught in 30 feet of water and 1,000 feet of water. So really no rhyme or reason to finding the fish. Best thing to do is to look for fish on the weed lines, rips and color changes around anything floating, including turtles right now. It seems like turtles have a lot of fish on them. You can troll ballyhoo, mullet, or a skirt and strip combination to cover water, or you can run until you find something that looks good, like a weed line or a rip, and then slow troll or drift live baits along it. Average dolphin right now, 18 to 20 pounds.
All right, bub, it's time for the bass report, which I always look forward to. So why don't you go ahead and give it to me?
Yeah, you know, Lake Okeechobee's a place right now. Water levels are steadily dropping on Lake Okeechobee. The fish have moved away from the shoreline grass walls and out into the open water areas where the school bass are feeding on shad right at first light. I was talking to Nathan Shellen of OkeechobeeBassFishing.com. He said find the Kissimmee grass beds around Kings Bar, Tin House Cove, or Wooden's Pass. Worked in with anything that looks like a shad, which basically means a white spinnerbait, a small topwater plug, a lipless crankbait, and then any of the soft plastics like a Bass Assassin split tail shad, a fork tail shad, or an elite shiner in any of the shad colors. Get an early start to the day so you can catch the light wind conditions, because it seems like middle of the day, winds have been blowing up a little bit, and that open water stuff gets really tough to fish. As a school bite slows down, work the outside edges of the Kissimmee grass with a June bug colored Texas rig worm or a chatterbait, average bass 1 to 3 pounds. I got a photo of Brantley Wiseman with a nice peacock bass he caught on a chartreuse spinnerbait.
Look at that!
Wow,
Can't even
that's
see
a
his face, it's so big. That's awesome.
That's so awesome. You know, as adults, sometimes we make stupid decisions, and I want you to know, taking a bite out of that worm.
I'll bet it was a bad decision. We knew it from the start.
That's not your first bad decision, Rick.
Terrible. I just want to go publicly and say, what a dumb.
Don't do it, kids.
I am.
Oh Don't do it, kids. Don't eat the worm.
But it is time.
Follow it up with a piece of fish bites. Yeah. Get the flavor out of your mouth.
Yeah, that'll work. Good idea. Maybe during the commercial break. Hey, we'll go ahead and take a look at the TH Marine hotspots. He says, Mike, triple tail on the channel markers between the Jensen Beach Causeway and South Bridge. Live shrimp on a quick cork or a jig head. And then offshore, he says, school kings and muttons on the Loran Tower Ledge. Live or dead sardines on a triple hook monofilament rig is going to catch them. Yes.
I just can't even with you right now. That was insane.
No kiss?
Nope, not from no one. All right, well, we are well underway with the Shoreline Showdown Surf Fishing Tournament Series presented by Fish Bites. 4 tournaments, 1 championship, and over $75,000 in guaranteed payouts, plus fishing for a chance to qualify to compete for the title of the Ultimate Surf Angler. We are 2 down with 2 more to go. So for more information with the next tournament dates and locations, make sure you check out the website, shorelineShowdown.com. All right, Rick, coming up, we're bringing the snacks on board, like Mike said, in the Alto Equipment Southwest and Takeuchi Keys region, no worms, plus saying hi to our good friend from CCA. So, Blake and Mia, why don't you take us to break?
Don't get lost. We'll be right back.
Don't show them, oh no.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Power Pole, Total Boat Control, Berkeley, your fish, our science. Bahio, blue light blocking, radically clear polarized fishing sunglasses. Scoozy Shoes, the captain's choice for premium lightweight comfort. Sea Sucker, easy on, easy off, incredibly strong. Pen, let the battle begin. Kubota, together we do more. And the International Order of T. Roosevelt, protect your right to fish.
So check out, we got our DJ here during the commercial breaks. We're really having a lot of fun. Wish you were here with us. But with me right now is Andrea Gillespie from CCA Star Florida. Andrea, it is about the kids tonight. So why don't we tell everybody what you guys have for the kids as far as the Florida Star Tournament?
So the CCA Florida Star Tournament is all about these youth for the future. We have the Youth Scholarship Division. We have given away $900,000 to date. We are going on our $1 million for our 10th year.
Wow, that's incredible. Good job for you guys. So any fish can qualify?
Absolutely any fish they fish with can qualify for the tournament.
So they just essentially have to have their measuring device, of course. Then they measure the fish on that. Then they can enter it. So it could, a simple jack could end up getting them a $25,000 scholarship.
Absolutely. All they have to do is be a CCA member, registered for STAR, have their STAR measuring device, like you said, and download the app and put it in there.
So what do they have to do in order to be a member? Do they just can do that online, and what's the cost to them?
They can do that online. Their CCA membership is $10, and STAR is free. So they fish STAR for free. And everyone in the audience tonight is actually registered for STAR and a CCA member for free.
How about that, guys?
So they got
you
that
guys
tonight.
now are all registered for STAR. That's a nice gift. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, our pleasure. So they just need to pick up their measuring device and download their app, and they're ready to go.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So if we have any more questions, if anybody that's watching has any questions, whether it's about kids or whether it's about STAR in general, where do they go, Andrea?
CCAFloridastar.com.
We're so grateful for everything the CCA does and what STAR and you and Lisa are doing for us. So thank you so much. But Brie, we got to keep rolling. What do you got over there?
We do have to keep rolling. Well, I have our captain from the Alto Equipment Southwest region, Ronnie Houston, who's telling us where to go and what to do when you're taking those minis on the water. Go for it, Ronnie.
Well, you know, here in the Southwest region, I'm going to keep it as simple as possible. You might want to stop into your Bass Pro Shops, or we have so many Ace Hardwares in different parts of the county, from Marco Island all the way up towards Fort Myers. I strongly recommend picking up one of their combo sets, a 2,500 to 3,000 Penn Battle, with maybe a 7-foot medium rod. Have them put on some 15-pound braid. Maybe pick up a variety of 1/8 ounce to 1/4 ounce jig heads with maybe some Bass Assassin soft plastic shrimp or paddle tails. And you're going to want some noise-making corks. I strongly also recommend picking up 1/0 to 3/0 circle hooks, is all you're going to need to fish most flats right now to the north from Estero Bay to Charlotte Harbor. The grass and potholes are plentiful. You'll catch plenty of ladyfish, trout, and jacks, which are plentiful. And all these areas are going to be specifically marked in my trout report. Now, your circle hooks and corks for most local canals all throughout the region are going to catch bass and peacocks with a combination of live shiners. Now, the circle hooks are going to be important because it will hook fish automatically just in case they might be falling asleep or not paying attention and not aware of the bite. But I also recommend using live pilchards, also chummed variety of chumming. On the flats, we'll also catch a variety of fish. And I have a prime example of chum pilchards. Caught with Jax Widener, Stuart Widener, a good buddy of mine I fish with. So that was caught by his son by simply using circle hooks and chumming pilchards. Now the inshore report, the trout. That bite has been plentiful from Pine Island Sound out in front of Pine Island Marina, or the west wall on the inside of the sandbar, as well as Bull and Turtle Bay. Now the higher stages of the tide, you want to be drifting. We got some strong east winds this week. You want to be drifting with the wind in depths of about 2 to 5 feet of water. Now, in your lower stages, which the wind has been midweek, blowing out of the east is going to make it lower, you want to concentrate on your edges, troughs, and potholes. Now, a variety of baits like artificials include the Berkeley Jukes, pilchard specifically in color, the Bass Assassin 4-inch Sea Shed, Slam and Chicken in color, or your chrome-colored hijackers, or jay workers, or simply chumming live pilchards for the kids. And I have a nice picture of a husband and wife that I fished from Alta Equipment last week. And one of the things they said to me was, where do you get those corks, the Bass Assassin corks? I gave them a cork, and they said, you know what? It'd be great to take our grandchildren out and catch a bunch of trout and ladyfish. This is how easy it'll be. On the offshore side, the red snappers. Now, we've had a lot of wind midweek, but towards the weekend, it should be getting better. Winds are going to die down. Marco to Fort Myers Beach, according to Hog Wild Charters. He's catching many fish right now in the 12 to 20 pound range. Now he's starting as shallow as 140 feet and working out to 195 feet. And he's telling me the live pinfish for him on knocker rigs seem to be producing quicker limits than the cut baits. Not saying the cut baits don't work. Having a variety of weight depending on depths and current being fished. He's telling me he's using 5 to 6 ounces of lead, cut baits to include squid, herring, but live bait has been choosing quicker limits. And here's a red snapper recently caught while the winds have been moderate and guys have been getting out. Woo! Last species is going to be the wahoo. You know, this is a bite we don't talk about much on the southwest coast because it's not very common you go out and target them. But I've been getting a lot of reports in the last 4 to 6 weeks with fish right now over 65 pounds being caught. So when you're out there red snapper fishing, you're fishing the bottom, you might want to put a flat line out while you're fishing on the bottom. Running in and running it back to shore, watch for birds. You get in an area of birds, start trolling plugs or skirts. There's been a lot of scattered weed line out there with some small dolphin or get around the bait schools producing big scatter fish in the last month. And a prime example of that is an 89-pound wahoo that was just caught in the last 2 weeks while fishing with hog wild charters.
Nice.
That's a stud wahoo. Man, you're a stud fishing guy. Thank you so much, Ronnie, for being here, as you always have been since day one.
Yep.
Since day one. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the battery tender hotspots from the southwest region. Ronnie says that the Snook, Everglades backcountry, and the feeder creeks, wind-blown shorelines and points using chuggers, popper baits, top-watered, walk-the-dog style of lures, and bucktails, and then offshore. Permit, the wrecks are on artificial reefs 5 to 30 miles out using live crab, shrimp, brightly colored bucktails.
All right, well, in the Takeuchi Keys region, family and fishing go hand in hand. In Captain Ridge Murphy's case, he definitely knows what it's like growing up on the water. Go for it, Ridge.
You know, taking a kid fishing is something that's always been a big component on the charter docks all throughout the Keys. From anchoring on the nearshore patches, fishing with light spinning rods and a yellowtail jig with a piece of shrimp for a variety of small snappers and grunts, to inshore fishing, trout fishing, mangrove snappers, fishing all over the backcountry. When it comes to kids, the Alta Equipment region has a lot to offer. In fact, I'm willing to bet unofficially that the Keys has more first caught fish than any other region. The main thing that you want to do when it comes to taking kids fishing is keeping it simple. They don't know the difference from a bonnethead shark or a bonefish. On the calm days, you can anchor up on the shallow patches and soak a chum bag drifting baits like shrimp or fish bites behind the boat to catch a variety of different small reef fish. And if everybody has their sea legs, you can slide out to 60 to 90 feet of water and do some yellowtailing. On the inshore side of things, ladyfish, trout, mangrove snappers are your friends. 1/4-ounce jig head on the bottom, in the finger channels and around the islands can make your day. Keep a wire rod ready because every little kid wants to catch a big shark. This is a good way to teach mechanics from fishing, from sight fishing presentation to rod placement to pump and winding, and making sure you turn that handle before you drop the rod, etc. I have a photo of Charlie and Freddie with a nice big lemon shark that they caught with me sight fishing up on the flat.
Oh,
Wow, that's a cool picture, Ridge. All right, what else you got offshore, bub?
Keeping it kid-friendly, the yellowtail fishing is still really good from 60 to 90 feet of water. Look for them on the bottom machine and use your anchor or anchor mode on your Rodan trolling motor to hold you in place and start chumming. Chum a mixture of frozen chum, sand, and oats, and one at a time drift light spinners with a yellowtail jig and cut ballyhoo, shrimp, or pieces of fish bites with no resistance, 10 to 12 pound mono tied straight to the hook. Remember, guys, it's 12 inches to the tip of the tail and 10 per person.
All right, let's go inshore, bub.
In the backcountry of Islamorada and Key Largo, the snook fishing has been pretty good. Fish light to medium light Finwick spinning rods on the edges of the flats, in the potholes, finger channels, and moats surrounding the island. With a 4-inch Bass Assassin Sea Shad in pink, white, or natural colors like Houdini or Opening Night. You can rig this bait on a 1/4-ounce to 1/2-ounce jig head or weedless depending on how bad the grass is. And you can also use a live finfish on a 5/0 Eagle Claw circle hook on a 40-pound leader under a cork, throwing the bait up against the trees for some bigger fish. Keeping it kid-themed, I have a photo of Miss Julia with a nice snook that we got on our last trip together.
Nice. All right, one to go. What do you got?
All the rain that we had this last week has cooled off the water temps and has made the tarpon fishing pretty good. All the fresh water running out of the glade has been making the backcountry fishing turn back on. Look for rolling fish in the lakes and juveniles up against the islands in the moat surrounding them. You can throw the same setup as you would throw to the snook, light to medium light Fenwick spinning rods with a 4,000 pen slammer or authority loaded with 10 to 15 pound Berkeley X5 braided line with a 30 to 40 pound fluorocarbon leader with a Bass Assassin paddle tail 5-inch jerk bait. Or for the bigger fish, you can use a Bass Assassin Die Dapper or Artemis shad will also work. And I have two photos actually. One of Ashley O'Brien with a nice fish that she got during this past ladies tarpon tournament. And congratulations to her Captain Greg Deeney and Ashley O'Brien for winning the ladies tarpon tournament.
All right.
Good job.
Ridgeway, you were the defending champion and came in second, so you've had a good run there for the last 2 years. Proud of you, son. We're going to go ahead and check out the hot spots from the Florida Keys. Ridge says that inshore, the snook and tarpon fishing throw medium to light Fenwick spinning rods with Bass Assassin soft plastics on a 1/4 to 1/2 ounce jig head, working the edges of the flats and around the islands. Then if you want to go offshore, guys, yellowtail snappers in 60 to 90 feet of water, chumming with frozen chum, sands, and oat. Drift the baits like shrimp or cut ballyhoo or chunks of fish bites back behind the boat with zero resistance.
No, zero resistance. Hey, you must be a proud papa. Congratulations.
Yeah,
That's
man,
great.
he's doing very well.
He's doing well. Well, following in your footsteps. That's great.
I don't know about that.
Okay.
He's got bigger feet than me, so he's going to be great.
He's going to be awesome. All right, let's check out some tournaments going on in the Florida Keys. First, we have the Islamorada Fishing Club Captain's Cup Dolphin Tournament, June 26th through the 27th in Islamorada, which is a winner-take-all grand prize of up to $25,000 that will be awarded to the team that posts the highest aggregate weight of 3 mahi. Next is the Florida Keys PBA Dolphin Tournament in Key West, June 28th through the 30th, where anglers compete for cash prizes that increase based on the number of boats entered and supports the Autism Society of the Keys and the Love Fund. Next, we have the Billy Knowles Memorial Poor Boys Tarpon Fly Tournament in Islamorada, where the team with the most releases of tarpon 4 feet and longer while fly fishing July 5th and 6th win trophies and, of course, bragging rights. And last is the Key West Marlin Tournament set for July 17th through the 20th with a guaranteed $50,000 in cash prizes and coincides with the annual Hemingway Day celebration. For more information on these Keys tournaments and more, head to flakeys.com. We're seeing what kind of fun the kids in the Casa Vieja Southeast region are getting into, and then we're talking with our friend from Guy Harvey Foundation. Wait, hold on, because I think our co-hosts have something to say from the control room.
What?
Yeah, I'm getting it
What do they
right
got?
here.
Go to break! Ah, which one do I press?
Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Alta Equipment Company, where uptime matters. Ameritrail, load, launch, relax. Abyss Battery, power your pursuit. Rodan, set it, forget it, catch more fish. Discover Crystal River, Florida. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, best lures, period. Black Oak LED, never be left in the dark. And Maverick Boat Group, makers of premium boat brands Maverick, Hughes, Pathfinder, and Cobia.
Welcome back, everyone. Before the show started, we had quite the kids fishing fiesta over in Studio B. Just wait till you see all the fun we had. Let's go. So we're over here in Studio B with some of our amazing sponsors. Andrea from CCA Florida. All the kids are drawing on oysters right now, and I know CCA is big in oyster restoration. So where are these all going? They're so beautiful.
So we are building oyster flower gardens. They are going back into our marine waters on the docks. They are helping build oyster restoration projects.
That's awesome. I'm here with Michelle from Zachary Deck. We love having you guys on board with us. Tell us about all the new exciting stuff happening.
Yes, we're so happy to be here. Well, let's see, we just opened our 6th location at Tropicana Field. Woo! And we're also just launching our late night happy hour, so be on the lookout for that. We've got some great little snacks for our late night crowd, and we're gonna be starting to do a daily special, so gotta come in and try that.
Yes, be on the lookout for that, guys. Great food, great drinks, and great vibes. We're here with our friends from Castaway Coffee. We are so happy to have you guys on board. You're keeping all the parents alive and awake right now. So tell us about your brand and why you give back to CCA.
So we're big fishermen. We believe in the mission of the CCA Florida. So for everything we sell, we give back to their efforts in the state of Florida.
Perfect.
Check us out, castawaycoffee.com.
We appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. So we're here with Scott from Fish Bites. Scott, we know Fish Bites is an amazing bait to use for kids. It's very durable, but let's go into how we rig it and what kind of species we can catch on it.
Well, this one is a 6-inch grub. You can catch grouper, snapper, anything on the offshore reefs. Easy to work.
How about that one?
This one inshore shrimp. This will catch anything from mango snapper to redfish to trout. Anything on the flats will eat this right here.
And you were saying this, weedless,
I
grass.
like this on the grass flats. Rig it weedless.
Well, we love Fish Bites, and thank you for being here. Kids
We love being
it.
here.
Glad to have
Look
you.
at all these happy kids.
I know. All right, we're wrapping up the fun in Studio B. Back to you in the studio, Rick.
Well, how cool is that? Speaking of cool, I'm here with Nadia from the Guy Harvey Foundation. And Nadia, you know, a few years ago, Guy Harvey changed some of the things they were doing in the foundation. And one of those was to really feel like they had to educate people about the fishing and marine science. Why don't you tell everybody about what we're doing?
Yeah, at the Guy Harvey Foundation, we really believe in inspiring the next generation of ocean stewards and anglers, and we do that by providing their teachers with all the resources they need in order to teach them about marine life and conservation.
So how many teachers do you know, how many teachers we've potentially educated or?
Yeah, well, I can give you a rough estimate for this new program from this year. About 100 teachers over the last 3 trainings.
Oh, nice.
Yes, and many more over the previous years, but we're just talking about this year, it's been 100.
That's awesome. I know that was a little curveball. We didn't really rehearse that. I apologize. But, you know, I think it's really important that everybody understands that the foundation does a whole lot more than just research. And more importantly, we're creating the next level of kids that hopefully will take interest in marine science. So let's talk a little bit about what happens. You have a treasure chest as part of this program. What does that mean?
So basically, one of our big projects at the foundation is providing teachers with all the supplies they need to teach our content. So, you know, a teacher wouldn't necessarily have a Gyotaku model in their classroom that they could do our Gyotaku lesson with. But so we will provide that as part of the Guy Harvey treasure chest. Once they complete one of our conservation education trainings, they receive the treasure chest and they can use all the materials inside to teach our content, our lessons.
I love that. And even after that class goes on, that teacher's still teaching that. Now, is there any other opportunities that the teacher may have after that?
Yes, of course. So once 2 teachers from the same school go through the training, they're eligible to apply for field trip grants. And that's something that we keep talking about, getting kids salty. We want kids to have the experiential opportunities they need to really be inspired to protect their oceans, to go out on the boat, to have these experiences that maybe they wouldn't have otherwise. So that's the second level of our program.
So if there's a teacher watching now who's interested in doing this, how can they get a hold of you guys?
They can go on their website on www.guyharveyfoundation.org, and there they'll find, you know, all the information of the conservation education program, and they could also just reach out to us through the website.
Well, we certainly appreciate all the hard work that Guy Harvey and the foundation is doing. Certainly one of the top conservations in the fishing business, and we're grateful to be a partner.
Yes.
Bree, where are we going here from here?
What a fantastic program. Okay, Captain Jimbo Thomas has this kids fishing thing all figured out in the Casa Vieja Lodge Southeast region. So Jimbo, let us parents in on the secret to success, please.
Catching lots of fish, Bree.
Oh.
That's the secret every day. But, you know,
For
it
everybody.
doesn't matter. And hello to everybody else in the studio there, too. But it doesn't matter what's on the end of the line as long as it's a fish for most young anglers. And catching bait like blue runners and pinfish, that's all. A lot of times that's the highlight of the day for young kids, especially if you got some light spinning outfits that they can easily handle. Now, another great way to keep the rods bent, and one I like to do, is to anchor up on any of the shallow reefs throughout the region. You want to fish with live or dead shrimp. And you can usually keep everyone occupied catching small grunts, snappers, jacks, and other assorted reef fish. But if you don't have a boat, another great way to get the kids on the water for a fairly reasonable price is on one of the many party fishing boats or fishing piers throughout the whole region. And those boats and piers will usually supply or rent you the tackle. Then any of the lakes or canals throughout the region, those are also great places to fish for bass and brim. And here in the southeast region, there's a couple of youth fishing programs and camps. We got Captain Mike Kohler aboard the Lee Cell. He fishes out of Key Biscayne. He runs the Fishing Experience, which is a totally hands-on offshore sport fishing summer camp for ages 7 and up, and he's about like on his 20th year of doing this. And then on Fridays, kids under 12 go for free aboard the Party Boat Reward out of Miami with a paid adult.
Nice.
Now, staying inshore, trout fishing's been good in North Biscayne Bay from Venetian Causeway north to Oliver Inlet. You want to fish on the grass flats that are holding bait, hopefully. You want to look for areas with good moving water and signs of that bait, and then those sea trout will be feeding on the jigs tipped with gulp shrimp or jig head with a gulp shrimp or live baits under a popping cork. You want to fish in 3 to 8 feet of water. And the trout have been up to about 4 pounds. There's also been some nice-sized mangrove snappers mixed in with those trout, as well as Jack Crevalles. Now, I got a photo here. This is 11-year-old Wyatt Bruin with a nice sea trout caught with Captain A.B. Raymond, and they were fishing up in North Biscayne Bay.
Nice.
Now, moving offshore, dolphin fishing has definitely picked up in the last week. Dolphin have been being found anywhere from like 8 to 15 miles offshore, but there have been a lot of small ones, so we've been picking through them, tagging those small ones and releasing them. But most of the schools have been around scattered sargassum and floating debris. Not a whole lot in the way of bird activity, but they haven't been too finicky. Once you find them, we've been finding them on the troll, on rig baits and small lures. And then once we do get on them, we've been pitching small live baits and cut baits like bonita, cut ballyhoo. And there's also been a couple large ones caught under frigate birds, but you got to get lucky finding those frigates. They've been hard to come by lately. And then also up on the reef, the snapper bite has definitely been picking up. Mangroves, muttons, and yellowtails, they're being found on the outside reef in 40 to 80 feet of water. And the best fishing is going to be in the evenings, but they have also been biting good during the daytime. You want to look for marks on your fish finder, or you can just anchor up, but the fish finds you. Fish on the outside edge of the reef. Using a knocker rig, you want to use just enough weight to hold bottom in a 30-pound mono or fluorocarbon leader with 1/0 to 3/0 hooks. Best baits have been cut bonita, ballyhoo plugs, and cut goggle eyes. Now, the Party Boat Reward, which fishes out of Miami Marina, downtown Miami, they've been finding the snappers outside of government cut, and they say that the outgoing tide is when they are biting the best, but the sharks have been eating a lot of their fish, so that's been a big issue. Got another photo here. This is Quentin Niederman with a yellowtail snapper that he caught aboard the Party Boat Reward out of Miami.
Jimbo, I have a question for you. I know that you were just in Casa Vieja Lodge down in Guatemala. How was the fishing?
The fishing was so-so. We had a blast, but the weather was terrible. We had a lot of rain, and it was unusually rough. You know, usually, as you know, it's calm over there all the time. Right. But we had 3 rough days of fishing. But we managed to catch, I think, on our boat we had 15 sails and a few nice dolphin. Amongst the other boats, there was quite a few sails caught and a few blue marlins. So it was all around. It was a great trip. You can't go wrong going over to Casa Vieja.
Nope, I don't feel bad.
You know what that was? That was Mama Nature was in charge. That was the Trophy Husbands tournament. It was just showing the trophy husbands that it ain't always easy.
It ain't always easy. Sorry, husband.
All right, Jimbo. That's right, you still are. All right, Jimbo, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Black Oak LED hotspots from the southeast region. Inshore, fish live and small live baits, artificial and small live baits under a float for sea trout in North Biscayne Bay. And then offshore, look for the dolphin under the birds to floating debris and weeds in 500 to 1,200 feet of water offshore, Brie.
Very nice. The kids are all being fed Swedish fish right now. So parents, get ready for your drives home.
Oh, no.
All right, anglers, get ready for the 43rd annual Key West Marlin Tournament, July 17th through the 20th, with record-breaking payouts, legendary offshore angling, and nightly festivities in the iconic Florida Keys.
I want to go over there.
I do too. A Hemingway-esque adventure awaits. Make sure to get registered at keywestmarlin.com. I feel like I'm home with my 2 kids, just screaming over them. It's fine.
You're home with your
I'm home with my
400
family.
kids.
All right, we're playing in the Startron Central West and Real Legends Central East region sandboxes, plus talking with our friend from IGFA when we come back. So stay hooked on the Florida Insider Fishing Report, Kids Edition. And also, if you scan that QR code on your screen, you'll be able to check out our social media pages, YouTube channel. You can see new fishing adventures, reports, and more. Plus, it'll bring you to our website for some show merch. So scan away and we'll be right back. If I had papers, I'd throw them.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Startron. Start, run, and store with Startron. Berkeley, your fish, our science. CCA Florida, the voice of recreational anglers for over 35 years. Front Runner Boats, performance-built offshore fishing boats made in the USA. Takeuchi, from world first to world leader. The Florida Keys and Key West, come as you are. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. And Strike Zone Fishing.
Where are you taking me? Back to the show.
Good job, Blake and Mia over there. As you can see, joining me is Lisa from the IGFA. You know, Lisa, we've been talking about kids camps for years, and obviously the show is about kids, but let's get into some of this stuff and more in depth than we have in the past. So why don't you tell everybody what the kid camps are about, when they are, and when they start?
Sure, sounds good. We've been doing a kids fishing summer camp at the IGFA for almost 20 years, and we've had thousands of kids come through our camps every summer. It actually started last week, and this week is actually our Bigger, Better, Basser week, so we do different themes every single week to try to mix it up, throw a few new fishing techniques at the kids, teach them about different species, take them to different waters, and it's just a great time.
So as a parent, what can you expect? You drop your kid off and you pick him up a month later, or what do we do here?
No, not a month later. No, these are week-long camps, so it is a drop-off and pick-up every day. So Mondays and Tuesdays, we do teach the kids the basics at the IGFA. So how to tie a knot, how to rig up your rod. They do rig up their own rods, too.
Nice.
And these rods were donated by Fish Florida, and at the end of the week, the kids actually go home with their rods, too.
Nice.
So we teach them how to cast, we teach them how to bait their hook, how to untangle their lines, because we actually get a lot of tangles during the week.
I understand that.
Wednesday and Thursdays, we actually take the kids to different fresh and saltwater locations to go fishing. So out at parks, out on piers, and then every Friday we finish the week on a drift boat out on the reward fishing fleet with Captain Wayne.
That's so awesome. The lunch is provided and all that stuff?
Not for our camp. We do ask that parents do provide their own lunch and plenty of snacks. That's one thing with kids and fishing is please provide a lot of snacks for them. But we do have water for the kids, and we have everything needed for them to go fishing.
Is there space still available for some of the camps this year?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
where do we go to find out more information about that?
You can actually go to our website at igfa.org, and it's right there on the main page because it is our signature program for our education department. Like I said, we've been doing it for 20 years. Yeah.
You've been doing this show for several years too.
Yes, I have.
Proven champion. Great job. Thank you so much for all the support for all these babies.
Yes, we are. I've got my minis over here. Are you guys gonna go to summer fish camp or what? Maybe? You already know how to fish. All right. Well, summer is in full swing in the Startron Central West region, which means fishing camps galore. Tell us about them, Paige.
Yes, we do have them. In the Startron Central West region, we are in full-time summertime pattern. That means thunderstorms and everything. Fishing's really good. Kids are out of school, and there's nothing better than to get your kids out fishing. And, other than camps, which I'll get on in a second, there's lots of places that, for folks that don't have boats, there's lots of piers, jetties, which we've done complete shows on, as well as seawalls and parks where you can go and cast lines, you can practice casting, you can freshwater fish, you can saltwater fish. Now, as far as camps go, there's a couple in my region. In Sarasota, we have the Sarasota Fishing Camp, which my good friend R.C. Gilliland puts on, with 5 or 6 other captains, and it's gotten so popular that now they have 2 weeks, just like the IGFA. We have 2 separate weeks where the kids come each day. And then up in the Ruskin area, there's one that I think Jeremy Hines is part of. Now, that being said, we also have different tournaments that go on. We have a weekly tournament that goes out of Hart's Landing in Sarasota, where kids can win stuff each week for a weekly division. And then, of course, the granddaddy, the CCA Star, which is in full swing right now, where kids can win scholarships, prizes, and all kinds of good stuff. One of the longtime fishing guides is retired from my region. Rick knows him. Captain Johnny Walker has a saying, and it's a really good one, and it goes like this. It says, make sure that you take a kid fishing sometime, because someday you're going to be old and you're going to need that kid to take you fishing.
Old. Yep.
Anyway, my kids' picture tonight are 3 brothers. They all go to my church, and them and their dad went with me. From the left, that's Leo. In the middle is Nathan, and then Norman. And they were with me with their father, and their last name is Thomason. And we caught some nice redfish that day. Inshore, staying inshore, tarpon fishing full swing with these rains, Rick. It's made that water a little tannic, so the fish are biting a lot better than when we had all that crystal clear water. You can bump your leader up to even 80, and you're going to get more landed fish. Live free-line crabs in the morning for the laid-up fish. You want to cork your baits later in the day when them fish are running up and down the beach. And then in that afternoon hilltide, which is full moon this week, you can cork them on the outside of the inlets, Boca Grande, Egmont, Stump Pass in Englewood. That's an overlooked one. And then, of course, Sarasota Big Pass. My photo tonight is of a young Kaylin Capt with a nice tarpon she got last week with her dad, Captain Stacy Capt of Tight Lines. Moving offshore, mangrove snapper, full moon in June. It must mean the snapper bite is on fire, and it is 70 to 150 feet. I know that's a lot of water, but you're going to get more fish in that 70 to 90, but you're going to get your bigger ones out deeper. Live pilchards, frozen sardines, chum blocks, and the nighttime bite should be good. The winds are laying down. And I've got a really cool picture of 2 happy young boys with Captain Brian Marcy aboard the Sarasota Charter Captain's boat. And my last species, Goliath grouper, you know, he gets overlooked a lot. But this time of year with a thunderstorm threatening, you can get out to some of those near-shore reefs, a mile, 3 miles, and you can hook into a 200-pound Goliath. And a lot of kids want to pull on something big. They want a shark, they want a Goliath, a whole jack, a whole mullet, a whole ladyfish will work just fine, dead or alive. Standard bottom rig, but you better have some heavy gear. And my last photo tonight is of a young man's first Goliath he caught with Captain Jason Stock aboard the Full Send.
That is a cool photo.
Man,
I love it.
It's too bad he didn't catch a big one. All right, Paige, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the daiquiri deck hotspots from the Central West region. Captain Paige says, inshore, guys, a strong east wind this week. Lots of the tarpon are tight to the beach and up and down the coast of the Central West region and in the passes on all the hard afternoon, full moon, outgoing tide. That's when you can get them, and so it's going to be the best. Offshore, look for the full moon in June. For the nighttime mangrove snapper bite in 90 to 150 feet of water, use live pinfish or pilchards. They're going to be your best bet.
That kid is never going to forget that Goliath. That was an amazing photo. All right, having a good time on the boat in the Rio Legend Central East region is Captain Jim's forte. So let's hear how he's getting the youngins involved.
Well, you know, Brie, it's no secret. It's such an easy thing to do to get kids involved with fishing. All the parents have to remember is just keep it simple. Keep it fun. That's all you got to do. And the kids really, really enjoy it. So when you're taking your kids out, the main thing that you want to do is make sure that you have plenty of snacks. I've heard snacks repeated over and over again. And I am telling you, it's super important because if the fishing gets slow, you can pull up to a local sandbar, a local spoil island, some little beach. You can drop the kids off. They can get out. They can run around, skip rocks, throw shells, pick up hermit crabs, all that kind of fun stuff. That is sort of the sideline to the actual fishing. Now, as they get bigger and get more experience catching some of those little smaller fish, then you can go and do some more high performance type fishing with them. And obviously, they're going to be able to have the patience to be able to engage in that more difficult type of fishing. But the main thing to do is get the kids out there and just experience the outdoors, just have some fun. And remember, you're gonna catch, especially with like a corked bait, you're gonna catch a lot of ladyfish, you're gonna catch a lot of catfish. Fish bites are going to be your best friend because it stays on the hook whenever the kids are trying to cast. And remember to get a de-hooker and teach the kids, leave the ladyfish and the catfish outside of the boat. You use the de-hooker on them and get them off. Tell you what, I've got a really great picture here from Captain William Skipper of Time Warp Fishing Charters. Look at this snowy grouper that this young lady caught.
Wow.
What? Impressive, Rick. Impressive. You know, the other thing that we've got going on is on the offshore bite is the dolphin right now. And it's really good throughout the Real Legends region. On the days that anglers can make it out to the trolling grounds, that is, it's been a little windy here this past week. So you need some medium-sized skirted ballyhoo. 5 to 6 knots has been pretty productive for when you're pulling them. In the southern portion of the region, look for the area from Bethel Shoal eastward to the western edge of the Gulf Stream to be the best part. In the middle and northern part of the regions, look at the 27-fathom reef and the cones or steeples, depending on what you guys call it out of the inlet that you're going out of. Unless you come across a floater or a defined temperature or color change and then work those over real heavily, most of the dolphin are running about 5 to 8 pounds. And remember, a few of those larger fish are showing up at the cleaning table each day. So don't be surprised if you come back in with some 15 and 20 pounders. I've got another picture here that Captain William from Time Warp sent me. Look at this nice dolphin that these 2 young ladies caught right here.
Nice. All right, let's go ahead and go inshore.
Swinging it inshore, trout action is really good right now. The grass is growing on the bottom, and the middle and northern sections of the Mosquito Lagoon are really, really top-notch areas this week. Tiger Shoal, the High Bar, the Falls Channel Bar, and George's Bar are all really, really good areas to start your search. Live pigfish or croakers are the best bait to use. You can either free line them or put them under a cork, but live shrimp will work as well. If you just like casting lures, a saltwater assassin 4-inch sea shad in the Ripper or Houdini colors have been really good. And actually the silver mullet pattern's been working good too. Most of our trout are running about 12 to 18 inches. Got a nice pair of fish here that we caught the other day with a snapper on one rod and a trout on the other for those young ladies.
There you go.
And then my last species, Rick, is redfish. And you know, they're cruising a lot of the shorelines. Down in the south part of the region, from Long Point Park to Snag Harbor is a good area to look. The cut baits like the mullet, the ladyfish, the pinfish are really good on windy days like we've had lately. When it calms back down, gets just a light chop on the water, suspending plugs, soft plastic jerk baits, and fish bite fight club lures are working good as well. In the northern portion of the region, you want to check out the redfish on the super shallow flats on the eastern side of the Mosquito Lagoon. Most of our fish right now are running about 20 to 26 inches. Got one last photo here of a nice redfish that this young person caught the other day, and just a nice shoreline red. You guys can see those fishing. One last thing that's really important, get your kids a pair of polarized glasses. It doesn't matter if they're only $5, $10, $15, whatever they cost, get them a pair, because when you're saying, hey, look at that fish, and they're going, I can't see anything, you got to get them involved, and sight is the best way to do that. So that's my last tip for the night.
I totally agree. When we're on the boat, I always put my bajios on my kids. I'm like, you see that? They're like, no. I'm like, how about now? And they're like, yes, I see it. So that's a good tip, Jim.
So Jimmy, those are some great advice. You know, the other thing is, I love the fact that you brought the snacks into the game, because my kids were raised on snacks. Miss Murphy, she's a big snacker. So, I mean, we got to keep everybody entertained with inside of the boat, and I appreciate all your effort this week.
Oh yeah, get them kids out there and have some fun.
All right, bud, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at the Rodan Marine Systems hotspots. Jimmy says that inshore, the flounder in the waters around Ponce Inlet use live shrimp. finger mullets, mud minnows on a jig head, and sliding sinkers rig for fish up to 4 pounds. And then offshore, dolphin offshore and Sebastian Inlet troll, naked ballyhoos or slow troll live pilchards near the floaters, or the temperature breaks in 160 to 300 foot of water for fish up to 15 pounds, Brie.
Up to 15 pounds. All right, when you're on the road this summer, make sure you show your support for Florida's fisheries with a Conserve Florida's Fisheries license plate. Funds from the sale of the redfish tag directly support protecting and enhancing marine resources, habitat restoration, water quality, and coastal environmental education. So make sure you get yours now at your local DMV or redfishtag.com. I am getting mine very shortly.
You better.
I am, don't worry. We're having more fun in the sun in the Seasucker Panhandle region when we come back, so stay patient and get out the snackle boxes. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm yelling at everyone.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Fenwick. Feel everything. Island Lures. Tournament Tackle. The IGFA. Every fish, every water, every angler since 1939. Sportsman's Adventures with Captain Rick Murphy. 30 years of fishing for adventure. Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome. Real Legends. Available at bellsflorida.com. And Taco Marine. Master the catch.
Today's Power Pole tip is certainly about the premium brand products that Power Pole has to offer. Now, over the last 25 years, they have certainly created some really cool products. The Charge comes to mind for me, and certainly it saves me a lot of time each day when I can just simply get home, plug in, and not have to worry about watching and maintaining my batteries between trips. The other thing that I think about is how easy it's made my job and my boating experience on a day-to-day basis when I'm actually using the shallow water anchors that they have to offer as well. Remember this, when you're talking about buying a Power Pole product, you're supporting a Florida-based company right here in Tampa. And the thing that I also appreciate about them is how well their customer service and what they have to offer us. It certainly is the best in the industry, so keep that in mind. So on behalf of Power Pole, we want to thank you for supporting Power Pole over the last 25 years. And we also are looking forward to working with you with new products over the next 25 years. And if you have any questions, you can go to powerpole.com, and that's today's Power Pole tip of the week.
They're so excited. All right, there are a ton of ways to get the kiddos getting hooked to fishing in the Seasucker Panhandle region. So let's see some of Captain Pat Deneen's suggestions. Go for it, Pat.
Hey, Brie, I tell you what, it's always cool. Anglers getting excited about fishing. It sounds like there's a lot of excitement right there in the studio. From my knowledge, it's all about bites and action to keep them engaged, and there are lots of opportunities to get on the water. We have countless public parks and docks throughout the bays where kids trout, croakers, pinfish, and other species. And as far as organized events go, one of the coolest events to get kids fishing is the Harbor Dock. Take a kid fishing weekend. It happens the first weekend of November when 300 kids are hosted on destined charter boats for a day of fishing. Harbor Docks provides a trip, rods, vehicles, shirts, and a fine plan for their trip, and it's really been a huge success. Additionally, quite a few guys have started on trips after their morning trip, and those 2-hour trips are designed specifically for kids. Basically, they're burning up their leftover baits from the morning trip. They're fishing in the harbors for anything that bites. Also exposing, the youngsters to dolphins and other marine life, and that's been a pretty cool deal. They're doing it all Panhandle. There's a photo of my daughter Katie Bug. She caught the fishing bug early in life, and here she's a red snapper that was converted in a nice meal. And if you're taking kids fish, always good. They can then come home and say,
Didn't work.
While they're eating it, I caught this fish today.
I love it.
Fired up.
I love it. Thank you so much, Pat. Tell us about the redfish, bub.
Staying in short, my report comes from Captain Brad Bishop of Capt. Charters. Captain Brad's on a great redfish bite lately. He's been reporting good catches around the river now, using live shrimp or live menhaden near the shoreline grass. Early mornings and late evenings have been the most productive time. Most of the reds on the shorelines have been slot to upper slot fish, a few big fish coming in. But the big bull reds showed up in the deeper parts of the bay a few weeks ago, surface feeding on bait schools, primarily menhaden, for those diamond pelicans or other activity. Targeted them with larger swim baits and topwater poppers. And also expect Jacksonville to be mixing these redfish. There's a photo of a young angler on Captain Brad's boat with a stud fish. That kid cradling that redfish. Everybody on that boat is as excited as a so that's some good stuff right there.
Pat, your phone's going in and out a little bit, so if you can hold still when I got you, it'd be really good, please. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Rick.
It's okay.
All right, how's it moving on? My report comes from Captain Chris Kirby on the backlash out of Destin. Linear red snapper will want to get the snappers. Captain Chris has been targeting scamp and doing real. Been fishing national bottom 180 to 300 feet of water. They're using live pinfish, herring, minnows, and strip bait on the bottom. Fish jigs or similar metal jigs bounce just off the bottom. Effective. The snaps are running 5 to 15 pounds. And then finally offshore, there's been a lot of sargassum grass into the edge, especially to the east, kind of off of Panama City. Whether it's after all the wind we've had is yet to be.
All right, it looks like we finally lost Pat, but we're going to go ahead and take a look. He's got one more species offshore. It's the mahis. He said finally offshore there's lots of sargassum inside the edge, especially to the east. Guys, that means that there's lots of mahis. You can certainly troll horse ballyhoos. You can put an islander in front of them, or you can fish them naked. It also primarily, the size are schoolies for right now, but don't be afraid to be looking for a big one. After you catch your schoolies, guys, go to some really big baits. Maybe you might raise a blue marlin while you're actually imitating those schoolies, which the marlin love to eat. Check out the bigger rafts of grass and anything of substance floating, and make sure that before you leave, you have some spinning tackle with jigs on them and some cut baits so that when you do get that one fish on, you can actually leave him in the water, and that'll actually help when he comes up jumping, regurgitates, and chums all his buddies right up to the boat. And guess what? You're ready to catch him if you have your cut bait and jigs ready to go. It is time, though, right now, Bree. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Sea Sucker Panhandle region. Pat says that the redfish at the Destin Bridge or the Coast Guard station using live cigar minnows, herring, and croakers on a slip sinker rig. A falling tide is best. And then offshore, the tropical weather is going to be a real concern. They got some bad weather going into the Gulf of Mexico. Maybe better this weekend to spend fixing things on your boat rather than breaking things on your boat.
That's very true.
That's his offshore mess.
That's his offshore mess. Well, speaking of maybe being offshore, do you have a favorite memory of you and your kids offshore? Real quick, because we've been talking about all these kids. You got kids yourself.
Yeah, and one of my favorite was when Ridge was just 2.5 years old. Oh. I'd come home from fishing, he'd run and get in the boat and he'd look in the live well and he'd look at me with his big eyes and he'd say, "Dad, you caught shrimps and crabs today?" Aww. Because the live well was still full of shrimp and crabs from my charter, and he thought that I was out actually catching shrimps and crabs, and it just used to get my heart.
Man. It gotcha? You
yeah,
still
man,
catch
it was the
shrimp and
best.
crabs.
It was the best.
All right. Well, it's been wild and kid crazy here in our studio this week, and we wouldn't have it any other way. This is one of my favorite shows, but next week we are fishing for my absolute favorite offshore species, so stay with us, and we'll be telling you what we're reeling in. We'll be right back. They're crazy! And look at all the amazing parents. And Mia and Blake. Next week, we are talking dolphin, which is my favorite, so make sure to tune in. But you know what? We want to thank kids, parents for joining us today, and we couldn't have done it without our sponsors and team. Pure Fishing gave all the kids rods and reel combos. John's Bait and Tackle, also equipment, Bass Assassin, along with shirts from Starbright, stickers, koozies, hats, and galore. Thank you to our captains. It's been awesome. And we'll see you next year on the Kids Show. And next week,